All right, Professor Hildebrandt here, and I am going to work through just a basic example explaining the tools that some of the tools that we use for our data in statistics, mean, median, mode, and range. And then I'm also going to show you just a very basic way of using Excel to help you calculate these values. And this comes from Chapter 3 of our statistics textbook. Okay, so in Chapter 3, we are going through some different measures for describing data, and the first set of measures describe location, or trying to figure out where the center of the data set is. Okay, and so let's talk about there's those three would be the mean, median, and mode. The second part of the chapter then talks about the idea of dispersion or variance in our data, and that's what range does for us. And I'll make a follow-up video that goes into some more of the measurements that we have to help us figure out dispersion of our data. But let's start with these. So mode, the value that occurs the most often. Okay, fairly simple. Range then is the difference between our lowest value and our highest value. Median is the middle value, so we're going to sort our data from lowest to highest and find the value in the middle. And then mean is probably the one that's used most often. You also often hear it referred to as the average of the data. And so we find that average by totaling up all the values and then dividing by the number of values that were in our data set. So again, I'm going to start with just a very basic example here. So let's suppose we have 9 statistics students in our course, and the grades on their first exam are as follows: 56, 64, 70, and 70, 78, 84, 88, 92, and 96. So let's determine our measurements of location using mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, so I'm going to start with mode. Again, remember that's the most often, and so the mode for this data set is 70. If you look across our data set, you can see that all of the grades only occur once except for the score of 70. We had 2 students that scored that, and therefore it is the value that appears most often in our data set. Moving next to range. So remember, with range, we're finding the difference between the highest value, in this case a score of 96. So right here, the score of 96, and our lowest value down here, the score of 56. And so the difference between those two is 40, and so 40 is the range or the spread of variation in our data set of these exam scores. To find the median of the data, we're looking for the value in the middle. Now, I took the easier approach and I gave you a data set that had an odd number of observations, 9. And so when there's an odd number, you truly find the value that is in the middle. So there's 50% more here, 50% less there. If it was an even number of observations in our data set, you take the 2 in the middle and you do an average. So you might actually have a median that is not an original value in your data set, but that is still the median of that data. And finally, we're going to calculate the mean or the average. And so again, 2-step process. First, we sum up all the values, and so we would get 698. And then we divide by the total number, and again, we had 9 students in our course who completed exam 1. And so this gives us an average score of 77.56. Okay, so that's just a little bit more on what each of these mean, these measurements. But now let's pop over, just discard those, to my Excel. Okay, so here we have another set of data. We have 20 values in our data set. These are maybe the monthly internet bills for 20 different college students. Okay, and so you can see they go from 25 to 75. And now I actually already sorted this data. I probably should have backed that out. But if your data set in Excel is not in ascending order, you simply highlight all the cells, go up here in the right-hand corner to the sort and filter, and then we would click on sort smallest to largest, and it would arrange our data in ascending order for us. All right, but now we're going to go through and let Excel help us find the mean, median, mode, and range for this data. Whenever you're putting a formula in an Excel, you start with the equal sign. So I'm going to just pick a cell here in my spreadsheet that doesn't have any values yet. I'm going to do equals, and then I'm going to start typing in, and I just happen to know that this is the average formula to get us the mean. And then what are we calculating the average of? Well, we start here at 25, we go down to 75. Once all my values are selected, I hit the enter key. And so the average internet bill, monthly bill for this set of data is $54.55. I can do the same thing for the median. And so there's my median function. And again, I'm going through all of my values, hit enter. And so median, the value in the middle is 57. Now note, this is a set of 20 values, okay? And so you'll see there is no 57. See, we go from 56 to 58, but these were the two in the middle, and so Excel took an average of those two and gave us the median of 57. All right, another equal sign. I'll start typing in mode. For mode, you want the one that says .mult, this one here. All right, select our cells and hit enter. And so the mode, the one that occurs most often, is 67. And again, you could check this by looking down and seeing that, yes, 67 occurs twice, and it's the only value that does so. All right, and then lastly, we're going to do our range. This one's a little bit more involved, but we could start with our equal sign. And first, we want to tell it to find the maximum value in this set of data. And we're not done yet, so it did that, right? It told me the max is 75, but I'm not finished with this formula. So I'm going to click back on this cell. I'm going to go up here to my formula builder. I'm going to put in a minus sign and then type in min, same cells, hit enter again. It's going to correct that for me. And there we go, my range is $50. And you can again verify that going from 75 to 25 is a difference of $50. So again, very basic example, but hopefully this helps you see how you can start to use Excel to do some of these calculations. And again, there will be another video to do some more of the measurements that we're introducing in Chapter 3.